All right, moving on to our third coach of the morning, the head coach of the VMI Cadets, Sparky Woods. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Cadets lost at Virginia and back home this Saturday, hosting Robert Morris. If you can touch a little bit on the Virginia game, I know you had some returning players, Chris Harper and Logan Stive, come back. And then anything else from the game against the Cavaliers, then talk about Robert Morris. We'll go into questions.
Well, we would have liked to have been more competitive than we were against Virginia. Virginia, a very strong team. We knew going into the game that they were a talented, big physical team, and we were excited about going and playing and matching ourselves against them to see how we might fare. I thought defensively we battled them really hard, especially in the first half. I was encouraged by how we hung in there. I think it was 7-0. We were nothing, of course. It was about 3 minutes to go in the half. And then, as oftentimes good teams do, they exploded for 2 touchdowns. We were unable to get the ball and move the ball between those series, which hurt our defense's chances of being productive. However, we didn't turn the ball over till late in the game. They were able to block a punt, and they picked up 2 fumbles, which is too many turnovers for us. But those were late in the game. The punt was not. However, our defense rose to the occasion and held them on the punt. So there was a lot of encouraging things coming from our defense a little bit. Offensively, we didn't move the ball, and we hope to have a chance a little bit. I do think, at least for us, may have been the same for them. The rain didn't help us at all. It was made it tougher for us to block against their size, and also those windows to throw the ball into pretty narrow anyway, and then you dampen it. It made it tougher. Certainly not an excuse. It rained on them as well, but I would have preferred it not to. I thought overall that we continued to battle the entire game. We went over there, and our plan was to come back with some positive things that we had accomplished, and our effort was one, certainly, that we accomplished. The fact that we did protect the ball decently was good. I thought there was plays in the special teams. We had a punt block, which a lot had to do with our doings that we can correct. However, we punted the ball several times, and we got a lot of work there. You could tell that they were the superior team in the special teams as well. Whenever we kicked off, they would start further up the field than when they kicked off to us, and also they were big and fast and talented. I tell you honestly, the game reminded me a whole lot of their game against Oregon, but prior to us. They seemed to battle Oregon and hold them to a lot of no gains and some even negative yardage plays, and then Oregon was able to boom through their speed, capitalize on big plays, and score from way out in distance. So that helped them create a large score against Virginia, as Virginia did against us in our game. So there was a lot of reminders of the same thing, I thought. But it was an experience where we came out relatively safe. I think that our tailback got hurt a little bit, and Derek Ziegler, and I'm concerned about his returning and when. And we did get a chance to get a couple guys back, as you mentioned, Chris Harper and Logan Stive. However, they only played limited number of reps in fear of re-injuring them again. So we played a lot of guys, and a lot of guys got to play, and I think that's beneficial to us. And we saw some individual battles that we were able to see some success in, so that was positive. It's hard to find positives in a 49-0 game. However, we went there looking for some, and we found some in those categories. We certainly see our flaws and how we've got to improve. We're facing a good team this week in Robert Morris. Going into the season, we would have liked to have been, of course, undefeated at this time, but 2-2 would have been a pretty good position for us to be in at this time. We're 1-3. That's disappointing. However, our challenge now is to try to be 2-3 against a really good Robert Morris team. Robert Morris, who is 1-2 at the time right now, they played a real game against Dayton, who's a big game for them, that they lost in a close game. They lost to Eastern Kentucky, who's a fine team, and then they were able to beat Morgan State, and now they've had an open week that they were off last week to get their team ready to go into their fourth game, which is against us. So I know they're a good team. They're really well coached. Coach Walton is the only coach that they've ever had there. This is his 20 years. Not many coaches can say that. 20 years at one school, and that's a great accomplishment on him. The stadium is named after him. Of course, everybody knows the history of Joe. He coached the New York Jets and many others. He's a great coach, and so I know this is his last year or two prior to retirement. So I know they want to have a good season, and it looks like you got a good team. They have a junior, senior football team, so they've got a mature football team, and they execute very well. I remember in 2009 we opened with them here. We beat them 14-13, and I felt really fortunate to do that. So I know that we're in for a challenge, and they're going to come very well prepared and a talented team. So we got to get our tails in gear and get to work and try to execute against a good team this week and try to get to 2-3. That's our plan.
Thank you, Coach. At this time, we'll take questions for VMI head coach Sparky Woods. To ask a question, please press *1 on your phone at any time, or click the Q&A link near the top of your browser and click Raise Hand. Questions for VMI head coach Sparky Woods? And Coach, while we're waiting for a question or two, if you can talk a little bit about Chris and Logan, how they played, and what their prospects are for this week.
Well, our defense played a number of snaps. We played around 90 snaps. That's a lot. However, we played a lot of people. So Chris and Logan didn't play. I think Chris may have played in the 20s, and Logan played near that. So both of them were just questionable all the way up till Thursday whether we would play them at all. We decided to go ahead and play them a little bit, and we got out of there without them getting hurt or re-injured, and that's a positive thing. But we felt like if we put them in there for the long haul, that we would take a high risk of that happening again. We played a lot of snaps on defense, but as I said, we substituted a lot of people, so actually our snap total per person was down a little bit from what it's been, other than two players that got pushed up a little bit in terms of just as a result of our lack of depth, I think. So overall, Logan and Chris got a chance to get back into it, get back to playing in a competitive game, played some snaps and came out of it pretty healthy. So that's another positive, a victory for us coming out of that ball game.
Thanks, Coach. And quick question for you, Coach, is from Mark Berman of the Roanoke Times. Go ahead, Mark.
Morning, Sparky.
Mark.
When you look at Robert Morris on film, I guess, what possible concerns jump out at you there?
Mark, I think that they're a junior-senior team. They're very mature. They're well coached. They really have an outstanding kicker that has kicked, I think, 7 out of 9 out of the end zone, where it's non-returnable. They have a dangerous punt returner who can take the ball and go score. So our special teams have really got to be on doing great. We're going to get challenged there, I think. They've got two outstanding defensive ends. They're hard to block for the run and is pass protect as well. So they're strong, 6'3", 260, but remind me of some good ends in our conference that are capable of sacking your quarterback, and we've got to do a good job of protecting against them. Their offense, they're a two-back team, and both backs can carry the football, and they're good runners as well as blockers. They return both of their receivers, and the guy who was one of the league leaders for them last year now is having a good year, yet he's behind the one on the other side who actually has more catches. They have a quarterback Paul Jones, who's a 6'4", 265-pound transfer from Penn State, and he certainly gives them an extra dimension. He's hard to get to, hard to sack, and when he runs, you know, he obviously knocks people back. Powerful guy. So they've got a big physical offensive line. They've been together for years there, 20 years. This head coach has had this team, so they certainly know what they're doing and how they want to go about it. And they've had a week off, so it'll be a good challenge for us.
How do you feel about the depth of your running game at this point?
Well, our running game or running backs you're talking about?
Yeah, the running back's position, yeah. That's
well, we're concerned about Derek. We question whether he'll be able to play or not. And fortunately, we don't think it's going to require surgery or anything like that. So, but we're not very optimistic about having him back. So we're hoping that Jabari Turner and Bradley Lipscomb continue to step up. And you know, we've just got to block better. Actually, a few times against Virginia, when we did execute well, we were making 4 and 5 yards, which was a pretty successful play for us. I can remember a couple years ago when we were over at Virginia, and we would run plays that we thought we were executing pretty well, that were maybe making 4 to 6 yards against other opponents, maybe in our conference. We're only making like 2 against Virginia. I did see where we were able to square on and make a few more. However, we didn't create much, and we had opportunities to at times in space. Credit Virginia's talent for being able to tackle us in space, but we were not making many people miss once we cleared the line of scrimmage. So we've got a concern at running back. We want to keep pushing there to get better in that area, and we obviously got to block for those guys to run.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mark. And Coach, I'm not seeing any more questions for you, so we'll let you go. But thanks for joining us, and good luck Saturday against Robert Morris.
Thank you very much.